also working on encrypting all the files on our backend storage, so that if someone were to break through that, they have that. That's in the works right now. We're not completely there, but that also we feel isn't a barrier to entry into the market yet, because many of the major file sharing companies, such as Dropbox, don't encrypt their backend files, so we don't feel like that puts us behind anyone too much.
Along those same lines, I mean, without the permissions system, sort of, are you worried about just people spamming anything that they can, like automated spamming of all of these spaces that are open to the public?
So to that to that point, we look at these the same way that we look at regular meetings. At a certain point, there's a level of trust. If you're not password protecting a meeting, you're saying you want to give this to a group, and more than likely, it's going to be a small group, such as this, or even smaller at a regular meeting. And at a certain point, you have to trust that people aren't going to just run up and just start throwing things. If someone, for some reason, was targeting you specifically and knew you were having a meeting, they could, but there's no good way to search through meetings that exist if you don't have that name. So unless someone knew yours and was specifically attacking you, there's no good way to just spam all meetings with everything. Because even though there's no accounts, we do have a way of seeing who is who. So if there were bots, we could also take those out.
I guess the question on access management, when you're having a meeting, not everyone always has the same rights to view every file. Curious how you protect against that?
Down the line, we have an idea for different levels of administration inside. But for right now, the idea is much the way that in a regular meeting you would hand documents out. If everyone, we assume that everyone in the meeting can view things equally, that you won't have half the people in the meeting can view something and half won't, because if you were, it'd be kind of confusing for half the people to be talking about something that the other half of people weren't allowed to see. That's our idea right now. We understand that there is a certain level where you might want that, and it's down the road, but the core functionality doesn't have that right
now. Down the road, would there be any, would you ever be interested in packaging this for like an enterprise solution, like to sell to a company where they could have their own sort of self-contained, not hooked up to the greater internet type set of spaces where people having like a meeting in one of the meeting rooms in their facility could just be like, oh, well, here's like the space for this meeting, and they can throw stuff up there, and people will move it there, or walk next to it, and just put things up. So it would be like isolated, kind of, that they could buy from.
It's an idea we've tossed around. It's further off than the 12-month plan we showed, because we don't expect that a lot of businesses would be willing to buy an enterprise plan with such a fledgling thing for something like we said. As secure as document sharing, people aren't going to be willing to pick something up that's new. So we hope after 12 months we cover most of the major platforms also then, because the business isn't necessarily going to pick us up if we don't cover all the platforms that they have and we force them to conform to certain things. So it is something we've thought about, but it's much further out, we think.
Without other ways of communicating within space, apart from just the messaging sort of kind of infrastructure, like the stuff like integrating, sort of like how Google Hangouts works or something, where you have video, or you could, if you're talking about doing it for a conference, could you have a setup where you're live streaming video and also sharing files within space?
We haven't thought of doing that mainly because we don't see this right now so much as the actual meeting place, but more so a space that is, it's like your table in a meeting. It's used in addition to you collaborating, not to make you be able to collaborate. It's something we'd love to do later on. Collaborative edits are something we plan to do further down the line. But right now, our core functionality is mainly being the table that you share on, not so much the room, the full entire room. We'd like to be that room someday.
I think you should go on deck too. I think you should go on deck.
Yeah. So I was going to say, I think that's it for now.
So we have some core functionalities that you guys probably already know about, including joining spaces, creating spaces, and password protecting spaces. There is a new functionality which you saw before, including sharing files, but the new functionality is message boards, which we haven't talked about before in recent presentations. So Brad will go through some major completed features we've gone through.
Here's a list of most of the features we've implemented. The share charm, progress bar for downloading and uploading, being able to see the member names, automatically update the spaces, being able to add multiple files at a time, message board, integrating with SkyDrive, Being able to save the space to local storage, password protecting the space, deleting the space after people haven't used it for an extended period of time, notifications, state management where if the app suspends, it will resume at the place where you left it, and snap in. So when you upload a file, you use the file pit API from Windows 8 to pit the file from local storage. The file is then copied into the app storage, which is sandboxed, away from the normal local storage. The file is then streamed up to our servers into something called blob storage, and it's associated with the container, which has the same name as the meeting. And the name of the blob is a global unique identifier. And then an entry is added into a file table, which is in a SQL database, which contains metadata and a reference to the global unique identifier. Now for downloading and synchronizing, you get the reference to the blob, the list of files in the meeting, check if the file is already on the app, in app storage. If it's not, you stream it from the server, and you associate the metadata with it, and then it's added to the matrix. And next I'm talking about the data model.
Great. Just before I go into this, the backend is assigned so that we have one core database with server-side scripts around it that then provide the functions of synchronizing meetings and also checking to see if meetings already exist. And then we have the storage that Brad just talked about. Now our data model is pretty much the different meeting tables, the different tables we have in the backend, and these exist actually in the client app. So this is how we show the different files, and also this is how we show the different messages in the client app. I'll go into this is all created on Windows Azure, and let's go into these database. So we have a meeting table that has a ID, a meeting name, past, and when it was created. The meeting name is a primary key. The member has a user ID that comes from Microsoft, a URI. A URI is a specified channel through Windows push notification systems that goes from the client to the backend. And whenever you want to send a push notification, it's sent over this one URI. And then also your display name is sent. Cloud backend also has the file table, which Brad already talked about, the file ID, meeting name, and the user ID, which are both foreign keys to the meeting and the members table. The message board has the message, the time, and also two foreign keys to the meeting and the members table. And we have a relation between the meeting name and the user ID. Here's an ER diagram. We have our member and meetings table. There's a many-to-many relationship, so one member can be part of many meetings, and one meeting can have many members. A file table has many files, however, one file is associated with only one meeting and only one member. And the message board is only associated with one meeting and one member, and that's how that is all designed. Foreign keys within the message board and file table have on-cascade delete. So when deleting a meeting, we only send one I/O to the back end, and then deletes the entire meeting in one fell swoop, which reduces the I/Os and improves efficiency. There's other things like that we built in. Let's go into the scripts. So they're actually very generic and easy. The meeting just checks meeting credentials. The member updates the Windows push notification URI in order to make sure that doesn't go stale, then everything will stop working. It also checks member existence and just sends an OK message if it's there, or it has a new tuple in when it is put in. Enrolled checks if the relationship exists and also triggers the member matrix refresh if there's a new person in there. File table notifies space members and triggers the model file matrix refresh. And lastly, the message board triggers the message board refresh so that everything is touched refresh whenever there's a code operation. Looking forward.
So moving forward, just to wrap things up, through this summer we're going to be in a summer startup, and we're trying to turn this project into a real business for a large-scale launch with feature development and marketing. A lot of the features we're looking at are file icon previews, media streaming, customized spaces, advertising within certain different types of spaces, user management, space history. That's us. That's Pitch. You can email us at info@getpitch.com or follow us on Twitter at pitch_app. Thank you.
Yeah, what's the limit to how many meetings you're able to join
create as many meetings as you want.
Alright, so then what's stopping someone from creating like a spamming app? It's just gonna create a whole bunch of meetings and basically, clog your system.
We can detect that at a certain point. If we see someone making tons of meetings that have nothing in them at an unreasonable rate, we can remove that as spam.
So something that's nice about having accounts on other systems is that you can have your own unique file names. So how does your app deal with meetings that have the same name at the same time, or within that extended period where the meeting still exists?
Just because you don't need to make an account doesn't mean we can't identify you. You still, I don't know if you saw in the demo, but when you upload something, it has your name underneath it. You still have a way to identify you. So two people can't upload the same thing. It'll be different depending on who uploads.
I mean, more generally, like about meeting spaces. Because like a lot of companies have like 9 a.m. meetings, and if that's what it's called, there's 2 going on at the same time at 9 a.m. on your server. What happens?
You can't have the same meeting space in there. What would happen is you need to append some other things, such as the next meeting at 9 a.m. That is how it currently works.
I'm curious where you guys see the value added here versus just a network drive.
Well, one of the major things is the ability to, that collaboration. I don't know if you use Dropbox or something like that where you upload things to a local drive, but you end up sending out an email that says, hey guys, I just put this here, and someone responds, okay, you end up getting this really long email chain that's completely separate from where all the files are. And one of the nice things, we've merged those because they should go together. You're using them together and they should be next to each other. One of the other major things that we have is it's automatic in a certain place that you look, and it ties directly into notifications. So you will get that notification that Nick uploaded this file right now. So you can see that even if whereas in the file system you don't necessarily see all that happening. You can go there, and there can be a bunch of new stuff, but it's up to you to figure out what happened.
We looked at enterprise grade chat rooms where you can drag your files like a chat. Use that part of it. It's different in that you have an account that you made, but then you can be invited in a chat room.
What's the name of that?
Hip chat.
Hip chat?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll check that out. Thank you.
Next time for one more question.
Okay. Professor Pisano said that you guys were given this project without any initial requirements or kind of problem statement. Curious as to how you guys how the idea came about. It seems pretty ambitious and well put together for no requirements.
It initially started out when we were thinking about using your phone as your credentials for everything. And actually, way back when, using the old Samsung Surface, the Surface tabletop computing, be able to drop your phone on it and just have all of your documents ready. That slowly evolved into just having somewhere where all your documents could be, turned into being able to, maybe you could just throw files to people who you're sitting around the table with. And then we moved away from that tabletop computing and just into a more network-based, why can't you share files when you're sitting next to someone? Why is it so difficult? You can hand them a file, but it takes you, 2 minutes to get all their emails and stuff. How can we simplify that?
All right, thank you.